Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, Spence, let's trip out.
I'm afraid not every human is as smurfy as they should be, Sassy.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Yeah, certainly. Here we are.
This pizza pie won't pass. Too many calories. Oh, the rest is okay. Natural light! Get it off me! Get it off me!
I don't know the meaning of the word chip.
Documented Geek Day.
Good to go. All right. We're back after another short hiatus. With us this evening, a producer and actor known for his work in the movies Hatchet 2 and his work on Terrifier 2, Mr. Steve Barton. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
The pleasure's all on this side.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this one.
We were super stoked about this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kind of you to say, but I can assure you I'm just an asshole.
Yeah, so are we, which means you should fit right in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Not too much, man. Just going through your IMDb here. You have worked with the one and only, the late, great George Romero.
George was my mentor and friend. George and Sid Haig. Fucking lucky I'm up, I mean, to have those two cats as mentors and friends. Yeah. That's sort of like Bigfoot deeming you cool enough to know that he exists, right? You have George Romero and Sid Haig in your corner, but I think the main reason why we gravitated toward each other is because all three of us were just crazy bastards, and we're very real, and real is real. And it didn't take long for me to become fast friends with George and fast friends with Sid. And as a result, they taught me pretty much everything I know, in terms of how to coexist in this weird ass fucking business called film. And they taught me a lot of things. They taught me how to treat people, how to expect to be treated. They taught me when to shut the fuck up and listen, and when to speak my mind. And that was all really invaluable stuff. And I learned so very much from them. And I will, matter of fact, every time Terrifier 2 was in theaters, at least once a day, I would buy them movie tickets to go see it. I would use like the two front row seats at absolutely nobody was going to buy anyway, and just in case they could make it down to see what their boy did. I wish they were here to see all this madness. I think they would get a kick out of it.
Yeah,
it's been just such an incredible ride that I'm so grateful for, because without their smarts and know-how, I would just be another schmuck, trying to find my way around. And for them to be the people who would shine a light on all the darkness and make sure I notice and get to certain areas, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, dude. There's no question about that.
Man.
Yeah, that's
Damn,
definitely some awesome.
It brought me to tears. Man, that was so touching. God.
I mean,
man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean they were really funny guys, man. And we all adored each other, you know. When we would do shows together, it would turn out to be like a road family. It was like fucking carnival. It was, we would do
Like your dad and your uncle just bringing on the script on the road. And that's awesome.
I would make sure that George had his flask full and snacks, and then Sid would make sure that I got really hot. No, you would they all just had a good time with each other, and it was really cool, man. I mean, I would give anything to go back in time and just fucking hang out with them just one more time, you know.
Yeah.
But they're always with me. They were the groomsmen at my wedding. You know, I had my Sid Haig and my George Romero doll, and
that's awesome.
My wedding. And, you know, I'm sure they would have got a kick out of that shit.
Yeah.
And it's been great, man. So they all were instrumental in me telling quite a few people to go and fuck themselves, which eventually led to bigger and better things. And had not given me that, I guess, confidence in myself to do that, who knows if I ever would have. I would probably still be slaving away at Dread Central for 16 fucking hours a day.
It's crazy to have that kind of leadership. Go ahead, Jason.
Just out of curiosity, on Survival of the Dead, that was right? We're a zombie in that. Was that like a one-day thing, or were you there like a whole time? Like, what was going on with that?
That was such a fucked up thing. You know, at this point, when Survival rolled around, George and I were friends for quite a few years. And he called me and answered the phone because you see George Romero call you on your cell, you just pick up the phone. That's like Jesus calling you, right? You don't make them wait.
100%.
Yeah, you know, you pick up the fucking phone. And even though we had been friends for so long, that cat called or Sid called, I dropped fucking everything, you know? And he was like, "Hey, Steve, I got this thing happening up here in Canada, and I can't possibly cast you as part of the living, but you want to come out and be one of the dead?" And I'm like, "I can't work with you, George." "Oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to be one of the dead. You know? Like, hey, dude, I will erect a giant slingshot and shoot myself there right fucking now. You know? So I got up to the set, and dude, that was because even though we had been friends for so long, this was an opportunity to like, in my eyes, like watch Picasso paint, you know, and just to see him direct, and it was such a crazy thing, man, because he brought me up there, and I was there for a few days, and it's funny too when I sat down to do the makeup on me, KMB did the makeup. I'm like, "Listen, guys," because it wasn't Greg, it was a couple of Greg's assistants at that time. I'm like, "Listen, guys, I'm a friend of George's. I don't want to be gray guy. I don't want to be blood splattered guy. I am fucking bald. Torture me and make me hideous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck you want to this stupid head on my shoulders." And, they did. But then the last night I was there, George called. He's like, "Hey, Steve, I need you to get to the set early." Okay. I don't know why. But again, George Romero asks you to do something. You don't ask questions. You go, "Yes, sir." And I get to the set early, and he sits down. He goes, "All right, we're going to give you some extensive makeup this time because you're going to do the main kill in the movie, and we only have one body to do it with, and we only have one take." And I was like, "What?" Pressure at all, George. What I didn't know, what nobody knew, dude, number one, it took so long to like hype myself up for that moment, you know, because you could be a fucking zombie in a movie. Number one, if you're a zombie in a George Romero movie, that's other fucking level zombie, right?
Yeah.
And even you could be one of the people that walk around or you see walk by the camera. But if George gives you the opportunity to fucking kill something and eat, that is like the fucking compliment in the world. And this is my idol, dude. He's always been me. That dude raised me without even knowing it.
Yeah.
You know, but this is my life at that point, coming completely full circle. And then it's like the extra added pressure of we only have one body and we only have one take. Now, Survival of the Dead was filmed up in Canada in October, early November.
Mm.
And I don't know if you've ever been to Canada in early October, November. It's fucking
cold,
right?
It's fucking cold.
It is my nuts were hidden in my throat. And now I'm trying to suppress my balls back down my throat to, and he yells, "All right, action," which, at that moment for like a split second, I just completely froze because holy shit, George was called action, and it's right. So, what no one knew, it was like literally, I think that night that we shot that scene, it was 20 below zero outside. So it was really cold. What nobody expected was the fake body froze.
Ooh.
Rock solid ice.
Oh.
Now I have to figure out a way to get this thing to rip apart. You know what I mean? Like, this is my greatest dream and my worst nightmare all at once. Right? Into the fucking thing, and it's literally, I could hear the ice just crackle, right? And then when the tubes are popping, the second the blood hit the fucking air, it's freezing. The second the blood hit my hands, it froze. So now I'm in agony. The only way I could describe it is like wearing mittens made of pain, okay? What should have taken like a minute to rip this body in half ended up taking close to 3 to 4 minutes.
Oh.
Right? And you can't, they have one take. There's no stopping and going, hey, dude, the body's frozen. Can't do that. You just got to your fucking way through it.
Yeah.
So I'm ripping up, and they have like a real plastic spine in there. Real plastic spine. Yeah. So like this thing has icicles on it and they're jagged. So my hands are getting tore, right? And the blood is like frostbite at this point, and it finally came apart, and it was like magic. It was like an orgasm when this thing fucking totally broke. Oh my god, the fucking relief, right? George is having a good time when you hear him laughing, right? In the back of my mind, in the distance, I'm ripping this fucking thing apart, and I hear him laughing. So I know he's liking what he's seeing. Ill, right? So fucking the scene ends and he calls cut, and he runs over to me and he's like, holy shit, man, are you all right? And I just dropped to my knees in front of him and I grabbed his legs and I just went, thank you, thank you, thank you. This was everything to me.
Yeah.
And then the lady with the hot towel came, who was like Jesus at that moment. And I got in a hot towel, and it was just magic. And then they brought me cocoa, and oh God, give me warm. And fucking amazing just to have a second of warmth. But dude, that was actually, if you ever get the Blu-ray of Survival, on the special features, they have the whole scene with a time code of how long it took us to rip.
And I have to check that out.
It was just fucking hilarious. And one thing that didn't make the Blu-ray is and I hope one day when people realize that Survival of the Dead is actually a good movie, because for whatever reason, it takes like 10 years for all of George's movies to find their audience. It's like no one ever when they first come out, and then 10 years later, oh, it's a fucking masterpiece. So Screen Factory or something puts out the definitive version of the movie, because George and I actually recorded a commentary together.
Huh.
And this commentary was fucking, I have it on MP3. And it was used at that time when Blu-ray was in its infancy as like a BD Live special download. You could download the commentary onto your player, but it wasn't included on the disc.
Uh,
And what was funny about the commentary is we recorded the commentary in George's living room, right? And George has a fucking bird. So he don't keep a bird in his cage. So the whole time this fucking bird is swooping back and forth. Right? Listen to the as you listen to the commentary, you'll also hear ice clinking and things being poured. And you notice that at the start of the movie where we're fucking talking about the movie, and then by the end of the commentary, we're both shit faced. Led Zeppelin. We're not even talking about the fucking movie anymore. It literally is one of the funniest commentaries because when George knows somebody, you get a completely different George. You get a very, he wasn't doing the James Lipton commentary with somebody. He was bullshitting with me with a bottle of vodka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good insight to hear how happy he was and how animated he was during this. And I really hope that gets to see the light of day soon,
Yeah.
because his last commentary is something that people should hear because you could
Absolutely.
how happy he was, and we had such a ridiculously good time. And then we drunkenly went out for sushi, which is a mistake because you don't even fuck your ordering. And it was a grand old time, man. And yeah, what a fucking blast. But yeah, Survival of the Dead, that was probably one of the things I'm most proud of. And I don't say that it's good because I'm in it, but make no mistake, anything I'm associated is already at least that much better. But anyway, but for me, I know what George was going. George always wanted to do a Western. And for me to see him directing and to see how much fun, genuine fun, he was having making that movie and how much of himself he put into that movie. It's fucking magic. And I genuinely believe that probably in another 2 or 3 years, somebody will consider it, oh, this is a classic with a lot to say. It's about class warfare. It's about, yeah, all of George's movies had it always took like fucking 10 years for the rest of the fucking planet to catch up with them and understand what I'm fucking talking about. Like I remember when Day of the Dead came out, everybody hated that movie. And now it's like, oh, it's the fucking pinnacle of zombie, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, welcome to the fucking party, pal. I'm glad.
Right.
But yeah, man, it was that's one of my absolute favorite story. I have so many George stories. I have so many
Oh my God.
stories. I'm writing a book actually. The name of the name of my autobiography is A Comedy of Tragedies, and it really is. And this book will have you laughing and crying throughout the entire film because I'm a psychopath and I've lived a really fucking strange life. But every fucking story in this is true, and it's absolute madness. And I'm so lucky to have been able to live this sliver of fucking dude. I have no more bucket list, man.
Right.
Yeah. I'd have to say the same with like how much you've done there.
Dude, I have shit in John Carpenter's bathroom.
What the fuck? That alone.
Right? Go for zombie. I worked on the biggest Nightmare on Elm Street documentary to ever fucking be filmed that's been hailed by just about everyone as being this incredible film documentary, just not horror documentary. I've done so. I gave the world Dread Central for 18 years. Whether or not it's now is beyond me because I quit that shit and was like, see you later. I'm gone. Fuck you. I've done a lot, and survival is one of the things I'm most proud of. And be able to say I ticked off just about every box on my bucket list is an amazing feeling. Especially one of the things I just recently was able to tick off is one of the things I always wanted to do. What always turned me on was the indie filmmakers, you know, and how important they are to the genre. You know, we wouldn't have had Evil Dead or Night of the Living Dead or Halloween if somebody didn't give a break to an indie filmmaker. So I always wanted to be that guy, to be in on the ground floor of something, to help people discover something really fucking cool that they know they needed or wanted.
Yeah.
And enough, I became part of the Terrifier story. And that shit has blown up way bigger than our wildest. You know, what a fucking privilege to be part of that. So there's a
full-on phenomenon.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you know what's funny? When Terrifier 2 came out and everybody was fucking loving it, I mean, genuinely loving it, we were like, are they watching the same fucking movie? I was thinking that we did this fucking evil thing with salt, literal salt and wounds and possums being fucking slaughtered and fucking little demon girls shitting on the floor and everybody's like, fuck yeah. And we're like, that, you know?
It does have one of the funniest scenes in any movie that
Yeah, that mashed potato scene had Jason laughing for like 20 minutes.
So we will get together and group watch these movies that come out, and we had to pause it so this man could laugh for 20 fucking minutes.
It was a brilliant. It was fucking hilarious.
It was the mashed potato scene. It was the mashed potato scene and the
the lady getting her head
the shotgun through the carway.
I actually got.
He did. He saw her head bounce off the garage wall and just died.
He lost it.
Yeah. Because why not? You know what it was with that? With I think, and it's all Damien Leone, you know, and David Howard. They're just magic together.
Yeah.
I think what's relatable about Art as a character is he's like the personification of evil who you kind of want to have a beer with.
Yeah.
I understand. And I think what makes him so beloved, or as he's become beloved, was Damien was smart enough to take this ultimate evil and make him relatable.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll see Art do things that you don't see any other killer do. Like he'll break into your house and have a glass of water. You know, there was no reason for him to stick mashed potatoes in that lady's face.
But at the same time,
that's also one of the because how fucking funny would it have been to film the scene with Art making the mashed potatoes?
It would have been hilarious. All right, so would it have been like the part that got me, and I figured it out through multiple viewings, because like when we first saw it, like I said, I was just fucking out of it laughing so hard. I couldn't explain what it was. I finally figured it out after watching it several more times. It's the look on his face when the kid doesn't want the potatoes. Like, I made these potatoes for you. It's just that the expression. I'm just like, what?
Look, your mom likes them.
You know what I mean? Like, it's this whole, it's the simple, silent.
I want this. It's those little humanistic moments, and it, you know, a lot of credit has to go for David, because I've done so many fucking interviews between this movie and the rest of the shit I've done, and whenever we talk about Terrifier, there's always someone somewhere that'll say, "Oh well, he has the easiest job in the world. He doesn't have to learn a single line." Motherfucker, he has to learn to communicate by saying nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that is acting ability. That is not an easy job. You need to be completely communicate by just using your facial expressions and your body language what is going on in the scene.
Mm.
You know, anyone could
Boy, does he do it well.
does. And you could just about anyone could read a line off a piece of paper, dude. But to bring to life by just looking at it and thinking of and using your imagination like that, just being given the ultimate guidelines of what Damien wants from a scene, and to create that and breathe life into it, that's a talent,
Yeah.
And
it's amazing even at cons that he can flip that switch as soon as he's in costume. Like, because I met him at I think New Jersey Horror Con the first time, and
I was
character
there.
and out of character is completely insane.
Well, it's funny when you meet David's like the living embodiment of Roger Rabbit. He's the nicest guy in the world, the sweetest person. It's amazing to me how much kids gravitate toward him both in and out of the makeup. And when he puts on that makeup, everything changes about David. The way he walks changes, the way he moves changes. He does not speak at all when he's in that makeup, regardless if it's at a convention or where it is. He will not speak. He turns into that character, And as a result, like all these people that do the photo ops get these amazing fucking pictures with him because you never know what this cat's gonna do in the picture.
Yeah.
And it's just brilliant to watch and to see that firsthand and to know David so well and know how he is and to see him just flick that switch and be his character. It's a lot, man. I take my hat off to him. I couldn't do it enough. Yeah, I mean, he's so good at what he does. And the best, the whole Terrifier thing, man, is these cats are the nicest, most talented people I have ever had the pleasure of being around or working with. The humility, how humble everyone is, how supportive everyone is of each other. It's beautiful. I mean, I was in California the whole time this movie was filmed. So I didn't come in to do my part until, the very tail end when the movie was filmed. So the movie you saw was filmed by like a crew of 9 people. Imagine that. 9 people who busted their ass every single day to create what you saw. You look at a film crew is a easy 50 people on a small film, 9 made Terrifier 2. That's psychotic to me.
9 people, and almost 3 hours of movie.
5 more people than are in this fucking chat right now.
Right. That's insane.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And it's Damien, it's Phil Falcone, it's Michael Levy, Jason Levy, George Stuber, Faye, Olga Turka, everyone who just showed up every day and gave everything. Stephen De La Sala. These people are legends, dude, for what they pulled off.
And the amount of shit in Terrifier 2 as compared to Terrifier 1. Like I'm not just talking blood and guts. I'm talking like sets. I'm talking characters. Like there's just so much more going on. And that's 9 fucking people made this one.
A lot of
that alone deserves accolades. You know what I mean? Like holy shit.
Yeah. That's like Guar. Like
there were no my favorite quote from Damien is inevitably, no matter what, when we're doing a chat or we're doing a live appearance somewhere, I'm doing a panel with them, someone will ask, how the fuck did you get this movie past the MPAA? It's so simple. We didn't show it to them. We just didn't show it to them. Fuck them.
Yeah.
I will say, Terrifier 2 is the first movie I ever saw in theaters that did not have a rating.
And that was another can of worms because it was the motherfucking Wild West. Because the theater companies themselves had no idea what to do because there was no rating. That, for all intents and purposes, means that like a fucking 9-year-old could go buy a ticket for Terrifier 2 and just go watch the movie.
Legally, you couldn't stop it.
It changed fucking everything, everything that was the normalcy was completely changed by Terrifier 2. And to be a part of something like that is just, it's such a privilege. And,
Yeah.
that movie, you watch Terrifier and Terrifier 2, and this is the thing I'm most proud of. You watch those two movies, there's no doubt in your mind, whether you like them or you hate them, that those movies were made by horror fans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Horror fans just give a fuck. You know what I mean? It was like, whatever, mass shooting, we got it. Whatever. The movie's 2.5. Let's throw a fucking 4-minute post-credit scene on it. Every conceivable rule you could think of was broken by that movie. And that's a cool fucking thing, in my opinion.
You brought up in particular, you brought up, like, whether you loved it or hated, you know that it was made by horror fans.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question that's like, I had a couple of topics, and like one question in particular. Would you say, I mean, there's definitely like an 80s style kind of renaissance going on in horror right now. And I mean, I know that I'm fucking here for it. I know Craig is 100%
absolutely.
My question is, though, how you feel. Do you think it's because the shit was really that much better in the 80s, or is it because the kids that grew up in that time period falling in love with these fucking slashers and horror films are finally in a position to affect the types of movies being made?
I think it's a lot of different things. I think there's a lot of, it is sort of a renaissance, but it was funny. When I first saw the original Terrifier, I said to Damien, wow, you made the best fucking 80s movie I've ever seen without trying to make an 80s movie.
That's what I fucking thought when I found it on Netflix.
Right? And I think that it became cool because I think we're all around the same age, right? Like when we were young, we were hanging out in fucking schoolyards or whatever, and we would have these conversations with our friends about these fucked up movies. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it was like this forbidden fruit. And when Fire 2 came out, the younger generation, who we kind of fathered and fucked up in our own way, they got to experience that, and that was the coolest thing. And I think that there was a lot of reasons why the world was ready for Terrifier 2 that we didn't think of. We still can't fucking believe all this shit happened. I think a lot of the reason for its success was, dude, no matter how you slice it, collectively as a society, we've been through the motherfucking ringer these last 5 years. If you want to think about every conceivable bad thing that could ever happen, we've probably experienced it in the last 5 years. I mean, 2020 alone, I guarantee you no one's ever going to make a fucking time machine movie where people go back to 2020. Right? So you're talking about a time where thousands of people tragically died senselessly because of what amounted to be a plague. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're all doing what we can, or at least trying to do what we can to see. It's amazing. We're the only fucking society in the history of the world who had a chance to do something good just by staying home and watch TV, and we still fucked it up, right?
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
But I think that because people were so clustered and we had to shelter in place and we had to do all this fucking weird shit that we didn't want to do but had to do, I think that fact, coupled with the other fact that all the movies that were coming out were these heavy-handed, message-driven films. Even the fucking comic book movies were like getting preachy,
Yeah.
Yep.
It was getting to be like everybody was making you feel bad about fucking everything, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
I think that when Terrifier 2 had a chance to go into a theater, I mean, here's a movie, and I'm not saying it's wrong to have a message in your movie. I'm not even almost saying that. There's room for all types of movies with all types of messages, but the only message in Terrifier 2 was take the ride and have fucking fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
own message. So I think when the lights went out in the theaters and people realized that it was okay to have a good time and to laugh at fucked up shit, I think I think it was like that release that they were waiting. We were all waiting for something to be like, okay, we can start to have fun again, you know? We could
Yeah.
and it's okay. And I think Terrifier 2's absolute brash, balls to the wall, flagrant, not giving zero fucks attitude was exactly what everybody needed at that moment to just take a breath and sigh, okay, we made it. Let's have some fun. And
Yeah.
I think the result of that, I have another good friend who just wrote one of his movies are in theaters now. Movie's fucking great. It's fucked up. It's ultra violent, but they wrote me and they said to me, Steve, if it wasn't for your movie, we would never have been able to get away with the type of violence that we got away with on the
Yeah.
screen and get an R rating. So out of everything that I'm proud of when it comes to Terrifier 2, I think the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that it enabled movie theaters, which have become this homogenized, sanitized, fucking neon laden experience. It allowed them to take some chances with more indie film,
Yeah.
and films that are more aggressive. And if any movie, even beyond Terrifier 2, would have been able to do that, I'd be just as happy. But the fact that it was a little horror movie that changed every fucking conceivable rule. And the reason why all those rules changed wasn't because of us, because of you guys. You guys who showed up,
Right.
you guys who preached about it, you guys who went to go see it 2, 3, 4 times, even the people that threw fucking up, God bless them. I mean, it fans that we provided the tool, but it was the fans that wielded it. And you all, every one of you guys, have changed our lives exponentially for the better. And the only thing we can do is continue to try to give back to each and every one of you. I don't know if you've seen how everyone who's signing at conventions acts with the fans, but we are very close with our fan base.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as we're concerned, you guys didn't take the ride with us. You guys were in the fucking car with us.
Mhm.
We'll always be so grateful for that. And now we're gonna fuck you up with part 3, and that's gonna be 2. And
I
I
can't wait.
can't say a damn thing about it.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
But you guys are in for a ride. That's all I'm gonna say. It's funny.
I can't.
When I was
I
doing
know I can't.
when I was talking about Terrifier 2 online before it came out, almost every message I sent, almost every tweet I sent, it ended with "You're not ready." I was fucking right. They weren't ready. Nobody was ready. And I could say that shit wholeheartedly again.
Yeah.
Even now, you are not fucking ready for what's coming.
So before we started the Geek Den, just almost 3 years ago now. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But that's fucking wild to me. That's crazy. But we started this, the whole thing that really made me want to start it was Craig, this guy right here. He was obsessed with the first movie and he goes, you need to watch this movie. So I watched the movie and I'm like, holy fuck, you were right. I don't know why I've been sleeping on this movie so long. Because at that point,
I can tell you why. Because it was another killer clown movie, which we had 85,000 of at the time.
Yeah.
At that time, Stephen King's taking all sorts of ass in the theaters. So the world already had their quintessential killer clown movie. And I could tell you all this because when I found Terrifier, I was still at Dread Central. And it was my job at that time to pick the movies that we were going to release.
Mm.
I I watched like 300 movies and all of them sucked a big bag fucking full of fat. And then Terrifier came across my desk, and I'm like, guys, this is it. This is the one. And and everything I just said to you is exactly what they said to me. Oh, the killer clowns, Stephen King's it. They did not believe in this fucking movie at all. And it got to the point where I said to them, the powers that be, who ended up buying the company from me, I said, if this movie doesn't perform the way I think it's going to perform, you can have my part of the company. I will quit. And I think they acquired it just to shut me up, and it was an easy way to get rid of me at that point because they didn't know who was going to move the needle at all, you know?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be their best seller, bar none, including every one of their titles, horror and otherwise, you know? And then I said, fuck it, deuces, I'm out. See you later. Boom. Stop, I'm done. Right? At that point, I did everything I wanted to do with Dread Central, you know?
Yeah.
And then I got to tell you, it was scary. It was really fucking scary because being Uncle Creepy is the only thing I knew how to do. You know, is the only thing I was. So when I left Dread Central, I was like, well, what the fuck do I do now? And couple that with the fact that I didn't have George to talk to anymore, and I didn't have Sid to talk to anymore, I had to reach down really deep and figure out what was important to me and what did I want to do. And when Terrifier 2 was first being talked about, I said to Damien, I'm like, listen, dude, I have to be a part of this. It's not because it's the only thing I have. And make no mistake, it was the only thing I had, you know? But because at this point, my story and its story were so intertwined, you know, that this movie's in my DNA now. It's part of who I am. And Damien was like, absolutely, you're going to be a part of it. And I was like, well, thank you. And, you know, still, we never dreamed it would work out like this. We knew we had a good movie. The team that worked on it busted their ass.
Yeah.
The movie, we had no misconceptions. We knew we made a good movie for the fans of the first one who will dig. We did not know it was going to have the type of staying power to reel in other people who either didn't like the first one or had never seen anything like the fucking first one. It's been a gift. It's been a true gift. It's insanity. There are some days we wake up and we're like, wow, did that really happen? You know, because it's just so unfucking believable. And you know what? It again, you know, Craig, you saw that movie, you sung its praises. I personally thank you for that because you were one of the motherfuckers that proved me right. So I take that.
I mean, it's
just if it wasn't for people like you, we wouldn't be where we are. And I probably would have ceased existing a long time ago. So thank you.
Christ, that's validating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't help it. I'm just into like gore and splatter and 80s movies. I mean, I can't get into modern horror to save my life because there's underground movies, there's great ones, but everything that's coming out is just one big story about being chased around by the past or whatever else, and you know, it's just
nothing but jump scares, constant
fucking
jump scares.
Yeah.
Not even like they're so people now they don't fucking work.
Yeah.
They're done.
They're poorly timed. They really are. I don't even think I think we had like maybe 2 jump scares in Terrifying 2.
Even scare, like there are articulate and decent ways to put a jump scare in. If it serves the story, it's a good thing. But if it's something like, you know, the fucking bathroom mirror trope, right? Like that shit where you open the mirror and there's nothing behind the character, you close the mirror and bam, there's something there.
Yeah.
That shit is so fucking played out that
that's overplayed.
That happen. Or the fucking refrigerator door, all of fucking whatchamacallit, Clive Barker's Oh my God, Midian, the city where the monsters live. Somebody help me remember that. What? One more time. Oh, you went silent.
Nightbreed.
There it is.
There it
Anyway, like the door, right? The refrigerator door opening, and then it closes, and there's fucking Decker, right? Like that moment. Ever since that moment when I saw that when I was a kid, anytime someone opens their fridge in a fucking horror movie, I'm like, it's gonna be some asshole standing behind it.
I think the best jump scare ever made is still in The Exorcist 3. Gets me
Oh
every
God, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But fucking
every time. I know it's coming. It's
it
still
gets you.
it's like fuck you, you're gonna jump.
Yeah.
Don't have a
Also,
second.
a lasting enough effect that actually looking at those fucking garden clippers in my front yard, I remember that scene immediately. Every
Mhm.
time. And they've been sitting in the same place for like a year. So that means every time I leave my house, I think of that scene.
All right.
It's
We're going to go ahead and cut to a quick break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about a few more things and then give her a quick wrap up.
This summer, coming to a supermarket near you. There's going to be a great new high-C flavor with an outrageous fruit taste. And what are we going to call it? Ecto Cooler. High-C Ecto Cooler. Slimer's new fruit drink. You've been warned.
Now, the director of Nightmare on Elm Street brings you his greatest creation. Wes Craven's Shocker. Rated R. Starts Friday, October 27th at a theater near you.
And we're welcome back, guys. How are you? Taking over the fucking show now because that's what I do. God damn it! Fucking Craig, man, Craig created this whole fucking thing. When you watch this shit, I want everyone to email Craig and be like, "Yo, thank you, bro. You did something." Right? And if you don't do that, I'm not gonna make Terrifier 3. Fuck you.
Oh,
Yeah.
But Jason, you had one more question you wanted to ask.
yeah. All right. So earlier we briefly, well, sort of briefly hit on the 80s Renaissance thing. Would you say that horror has a specific golden age or like decade that was most important to where we're at now? Like for me, it is the 80s, but that's because those are my formative memories. But there's also some movies from the 60s and 70s that I absolutely adore, and there's also several from the 90s. I mean, that were like, I mean, they're still my favorite movies. You know what I mean?
That's a really good question. I mean, I guess it boils down. And we were just talking offline about how horror is so subjective. For me, I think my favorite decade for horror was actually the 70s. And the reason why I say that is because people were just fucking nuts in the 70s, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, people were so fucking strange. And as a result, we got these strange fucking movies like The Exorcist and fucking The Omen, these movies that are so ballsy. When you look at them now, they just couldn't even be made now, half of them. You know? And another thing that was really cool about the 70s was you had something, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was always like the blah, blah, blah movie of the week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You watch these little TV movies that ended up being so fucking good, like Don't Be Afraid of the Dark and Gargoyles and shit like that. And I think the reason why those movies, especially 70s movies, were so good was nobody was really breathing over anybody's necks back then. You know, nowadays everything's become homogenized to the point where there's like a set of boxes you have to tick and tick and tick and tick. And the only thing that filmmakers were concerned with in the 70s and the early 80s, I should say, I think 75 to 85 to me is the absolute golden age of horror. You know, best movies came out between in that decade somewhere, or maybe 73 to 85, I'll say, is
I agree with that.
Amazing. And I think it's because back then it was a matter of just making your movie instead of having to worry about ticking off all these boxes. I mean, the only thing filmmakers were concerned with in the 70s to the 80s was just making your best fucking movie, man.
Yeah.
If your movie is good, it'll find its audience. You don't have to create it for a specific audience, you know? It'll be good, it'll get found, people will like it, and your movie will become revered, hopefully. But and that's another weird thing. I can't tell you how many movies I've seen and how many filmmakers I've spoken to and how many studio execs I've spoken to that are like, oh, Steve, we got the next midnight movie. We got the next big thing. And listen, I don't care how good you think you are. You can never make that claim because it's not fucking up to you. You know, you can't say you have the next big thing. You can't say you have the next cult classic, midnight movie, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's up to the fans. The fans are the ones who bestow those titles. You know, the fans are the ones that make these movies into the phenomenons that they become. And only the fans can give that title. People say, do you think Art the Clown is an icon? I think he's on his way. You know, I think there's still room for more that he has to do before he can be considered an icon. But then again, being that I'm involved with the movies, it's not up to me to say. You know, it's up to you guys to say. And I think that's the one thing Hollywood just doesn't get. You know, they don't understand that you can't create things like the Blair Witch Project, like Paranormal Activity, like Terrifier 2, like fucking all these little indie movies that blew up into these giant fucking phenomenons. You can't create that. It's the fans who create that. You can open the door for it. You can give it a shot, which you should, because horror has always been the most profitable fucking genre, probably next to pornography, because who doesn't like to jack off, right? No, seriously. You know, I think Rob Zombie said it best, man. Rob Zombie, when I think he was talking about House of a Thousand Corpses. He said, you know, in 20 years from now, nobody's going to be talking about Dr. fucking Zhivago. They'll be talking about Romero's Dawn of the Dead. And that's the truth, bro. You know? And I think that because Hollywood can't put its finger on what makes horror so special is why they treat it like we're the bastard child of every subgenre out there, because they can't control it. They could try. They could give you remake number 85. They could give you the Japanese import remake based on a fucking whatever. They could do anything they fucking want to do, but they can't replicate what makes this genre so special.
Yeah.
Because it's not theirs, it's ours.
There's so many, I mean, there really are. There are so many awesome movies that fall straight through the fucking cracks. They go straight to DVD, or at least used to go straight to DVD. Sometimes they go straight to streaming. And I mean, this is not including those that were actually set up as to be made for streaming platforms, but sometimes they go straight to streaming. And it's always horror movies that happens to. It's a lack of faith. I mean, you're right. It's a complete lack of faith on the studio's part, which is a fucking shame, man.
I'll tell you what, I saw a movie fucking last week, blew me the fuck away, dude. Absolutely vicious, and I got to see it on the big screen. When you get a chance to see a movie called When Evil Lurks.
Oh no, I've been waiting. I saw the previews. I want to watch it so bad.
Yeah.
That movie, you want to talk about giving zero fucks? Yeah. That movie gives negative zero fucks.
Like the scene of the car coming up on the person walking down the road and just that scene alone had me hooked. I want to see that. I was going to actually talk to Greg about that.
I think it hits Shudder October 27th.
Oh yeah.
But if you could go find it in the theater, that is easily the best demonic possession movie I've seen since the original Exorcist.
It looks
awesome. I trust your word.
That movie doesn't give a.
I will be watching this.
I told Damien when it was over, I'm like, dude, This other Damien over in Argentina, he don't. It's amazing that two Damiens just don't give a fuck.
Look what you did. Look what you did.
Something in that name. There's something in that name.
I fucking audibly gasped out loud like 4 times during weeks. I'm as jaded as I can come, dude. You gotta do some shit to make me raise an eyebrow. You know what I mean?
Right.
That movie legit made me fucking gasp, where I just did not see shit coming. It's a master.
Awesome.
Makes me feel good to hear you say that. I mean, I'm not joking. Like, I was so stoked about I've seen the preview 2 or 3 times. It's always obviously seemed very interesting to me, but unfortunately, I've been fooled in the past. I've been hurt before.
Oh. Sometimes you feel the body shots before you even go into the theater. It's like when I watched the trailer for The Exorcist Believer, I felt like somebody was kicking me in the nuts. I'm like, why are you doing this?
I mean, like, you hit the track. Hey, out of curiosity, I have not seen The Exorcist Believer, and you will not have to give a spoiler, but I'm going to ask one question. Is there a scene in which somebody ends up floating in the air with their arms out?
Of course.
God damn it. I am so I am so tired of it. I fucking talked to Craig about it. There was like a period where like 3 fucking possession and exorcism movies came out.
I was okay with the Pope's Exorcist because that movie was fucking funny.
That was decent. It was decent. It was good. The other 2 that came out around the same time, though, might as well have been the same fucking movie, and neither one of them were that great.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with Exorcist Believer is it's remarkably unremarkable. It's like you're watching it and there's like just a steady line. There's no reaction, there's no dips, there's no peaks and valleys. It's just the same thing. I rather liked, a lot of people complain about the first hour being so slow. That was the only part of the movie I liked, which was crazy because by the time it gets to the exorcism scene, everything is so fucking ham-fisted that it doesn't even make sense. You have Ellen Burstyn showing up to basically read off of cue cards and be completely inconsequential to this. And I'm tired of that shit too, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't blame you for that.
We don't need Sally Hardesty coming back, although I like Texas Chainsaw. I did. But we don't need James coming back.
Jason, you said all around ending. That's a perfect way to wrap this up. But before we do that, earlier you mentioned Rob Zombie in House of a Thousand Corpses. House of a Thousand Corpses was really the movie that introduced me to Sid Haig, the actor. Now, I had seen the Night of the Living Dead remake, the 3D that he was in. And fantastic performance with Sid fucking Haig. But
that
Captain
was
Spaulding.
That was Sid's blessing and curse because he would do these budget movies sometimes, and he was the best actor in the movie. And because it would remind you how fucking terrible everyone else was.
But Captain Spaulding, to me, that character, like, holy shit. Like, an iconic character for me. And it's the only person that I've dressed up as on Halloween twice.
Oh, no.
So,
nice.
So,
right over there. I don't know if you could see him.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. Love it. Love it.
Funny.
Weird.
But one of my favorite Captain Spaulding moments wasn't even from any of the movies. It was a clip I saw of him and David Howard Thornton getting their makeup done at the same time during a convention. Yeah. And at the end of the time lapse, Sid stands up and he's like, "I'll see you in the big top, brother."
Yep.
And I was like, there we go. That's the torch being passed right there.
I have so many pictures from that. I mean, that was a very emotional moment for me because that was my past and my future colliding at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so, yeah. And every time I think about Sid and like watch any of the movies that he's in, I get emotional because it's like watching my granddad on on TV doing his
Someone
thing.
that's
Like
up
if my granddad was a little more open,
Granddad.
yeah.
Literally,
But I like to think that's how my granddad is in an alternate universe.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
literally in so many of our favorite movies. I mean, we literally grew up with the guy. He was
Yeah.
that, and honestly, the one thing like Sid Haig had a very particular talent. There are very few people that can instill that amount of menace into a smile.
Yeah.
That is a hard fucking thing to pull off correctly, man. He did it perfectly and almost it seemed without thought. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
That guy was memorable in everything he was in. Even and I'm so happy he got to be in Bone Tomahawk. I mean, that was like right before, you know, and he obviously got to round out in Zombie's last
Free from Hell.
Yeah.
The only thing
he got to sort of be in that.
I wish that they would have let him put on his clown makeup one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been nice, but at the same time, it's cool that it was there at all.
Makeup on.
Yeah.
You know? That would have been my choice.
Oh,
Yeah.
He and Rob had
agreed.
a relationship, and I'm sure that, you know, that was what they discussed, and that's what they put on film. So God bless them both.
Yeah.
For sure. So with that, Steve, thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been an
been an
absolute honor.
Yeah.
Like honestly, dude. And
I don't
I'd
know.
like to
I don't know where you guys are located, but I'm actually doing an in makeup appearance at Scarecrows in Levittown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
there you
I'm
go,
from like
Krager.
the
That's your
Allentown
neck of the
area,
woods.
so yeah.
I'm going to be in the full Survival of the Dead makeup for the first time since the movie was filmed, and we're doing photos inside of Scarecrows. So
Awesome.
be happy to sign whatever anybody wants to bring in, Terrifier stuff, Hatchet stuff, Nightmare on Elm
There's
Street.
a bunch of stuff I wanted to ask you about Hatchet, but we didn't really get the time.
Around. You can fucking I'll come back on. Don't worry about it.
No,
Hell yeah.
absolutely. I don't
Wait.
fall for you. Got shit to do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you're a busy fella. But no, that's up. Craig's up in PA. Me and Jason are sadly too far away, but Craig, that's up your neck of the woods, definitely.
I promise you're gonna have a great time. And plus,
Awesome.
I did the test makeup last night. The person who's doing my makeup is amazing. Absolutely. So she's gonna replicate it as much as you could possibly replicate it. And it's gonna be a little emotional for me to see myself back in that makeup after so long too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good time. I'm signing at Scarecrows between 1 and 6 p.m.
All right.
Excellent.
And
All right.
come down, come see me.
What was the date on that?
Sunday, this coming Sunday.
This coming
This
Sunday.
coming Sunday. There we go. All right.
All right.
All right. So, Steve, once again, thank you so much, man. And it was an absolute honor talking to you.
Pleasure was mine, Joe.
The stories, the shit talking. I love it. All right. Craig, Jason, we know you're under the weather. Thank you for hanging in there, brother.
Oh no, I'm fucking high now. It doesn't matter.
All right.
I like Jason for
Till next time.